Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. People have been excited about buying ibonds due to their high rate of interest, but when is the best time to buy them? With rates due to change in April, should you buy them now or should you buy them later? And are ibonds even the best investment right now? Well, let's get into it. When we talk about ibond investors, we want to split them into two different groups: shorter term investors and long term investors. That's because there's different options and different scenarios for each. One thing to note is if you're a shorter term investor, this might not be the right play for you, as you have to keep your money in ibonds for at least 1 year. And if you take your money out before the 5-year mark, you have to pay a 3-month interest penalty. But with rates as high as they currently are, that's not something you really need to worry about. So let's get into short-term investors. The current rate for ibonds is 6.89%, and while that seems great, and it is, we want to find out what part of that is based on inflation and which part you're going to consistently get. As most of you know, ibonds are based on inflation, so a large chunk of that is going to be based on inflation, that interest rate. Let's take a look and see how much of it actually is. Currently, the base rate on ibonds is 0.4%, which honestly isn't that great. But that means that 6.49% of that interest rate is actually just from inflation. This is important because we need to analyze if inflation is going to go up or down in the upcoming months when they make the rate change in April. Unfortunately, these high rates aren't going to last forever, and that 6.49% is going to change on May 1st. So you want to get that locked in before that. Personally, I think it's a good time to buy it right before the rate changes because it looks like inflation's starting to go down. One thing to note here is the reason I'm saying that is you get to lock in your personal rate for 6 months. That means that if you buy on April 30th, you're actually going to get that until the end of October, while anybody that buys it on May 1st is going to get that new and likely lower rate. Now, some of you might not agree with me, but if you do and you think inflation is going to start coming down, I think it's a good time to buy right before the rate change. Again, you get this high rate of interest while everyone else that's buying in May, June, July, August, September, and October are going to get that lower, less interest. You're going to be getting a complete arbitrage situation. People are going to start getting less money at the banks because the federal funds rate may change, but you're going to continue to get that high rate of interest for 6 months. Again, this is a short-term play that we're looking at right here, not something necessarily long-term. You do have to keep it for 1 year, so make sure you think about that. Now it's time to talk about the long-term investor, and I'll be honest with you, if you're a short-term investor, please stay on, as I think this is actually beneficial to find out what to do after the short-term play is over. The story for the long-term investor is while inflation still seems high and ibond rates are still well above average, I don't think that's going to be the case for long. Remember, you're only guaranteed that 0.4% return, and that's not much. I think there's some other plays to look at long term, and here's just a few of them. The first thing I want to talk about for long-term investors are CDs. And yes, while I know that's not tied directly to inflation like ibonds are, you can actually buy more of a CD that's fully secured for up to $250,000, and I think you're going to get great rates. If you can wait till after the next federal funds meeting, I think you're going to get the highest rate you can get for a 5-year CD. Well over 4% if you just can wait a little bit longer. This is going to give you 5 years of consistent income on your money up to $250,000. The other investment I want to tell you about if you're a long-term investor are TIPS bonds. And those are another type of inflationary bond that you can get into. Long-term, that looks like the better play compared to ibonds, but I want to give you a word of warning before you get into those. If the economy truly is starting to get bad and things are going to get worse, we might go from an inflationary economy to a deflationary economy. And honestly, that's not going to be good for TIPS bonds, as you can actually lose money on those types of bonds. So think about that before you get into those, but obviously do your own research and do whatever's best for you. Overall, if you're a long-term investor, I just think there's better places to put your money than getting into ibonds. Leave a comment below whether you're a long or short-term investor and tell me where you're going to put your money. If you guys want to see 5 things that I stopped buying in order to increase my monthly income, go ahead and check out this video right here. Otherwise, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one.